welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. It is another Monday today, and as is always the case, in Ambazonia, all commercial activities are grounded as the people of Ambazonia have once again given today's ghost town the respect it deserves, proving that indeed powers have changed hands. La Republique does not have the old privileges it enjoyed over Ambazonia. The interim government has put in place this speed break on the path to governing Ambazonia by La Republique. The imposed Monday ghost towns La Republique run activities in Ambazonia. Meanwhile, the inhabitants of Bamenda are bitter about the so-called maintenance works on the city roads. Pedestrians are having a tough time walking on the roads because of the mud as a result of the mud used for the surface dressing of the road. The important question is why are the so-called representatives of the people using mud earth to rehabilitate roads in the heart of the raining season with constant downpours? Well, are there any shockers in the administration of a banana republic? I guess not. Let's dive in deeper to the full briefings of Undaunted tonight, coming up right after the prime headlines.
Right here are the prime headlines for today. It's another Monday, and Ambazonians are poised to host La Republique du Cameroon with Monday's ghost town. La Republique du Cameroon sponsored in-house slaves mayor uses earth for surface dressing of road in the heart of the raining season, which leaves Bamenda City Road in mud. Firepower from Bui County is a report that will interest you tonight. Joy returns to Fundong after 2 months. What happened? That you should find out. In the African Sea, Niger coup leaders say they will prosecute the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum for high treason. And on the global politics, BRICS summit is a few days to come. It's set to challenge Western dominance, US dollar, says South Center chief. And in the world of sports, Paris Saint-Germain forward returns to squad and may sign contract extension. Now let's get the news in detail.
Our vision in this interim government is to make ABC a leader and a real war horse of our struggle. We want to grow it, expand it, hire and train more hands, and broadcast round the clock, around the world, and take command of the media space of this world.
You can enjoy all round the clock, 24/7 exclusive moments of bliss as an ABC Amba TV Club member. A cappella. Latest Nigerian / African movies, politics, ABC news and updates, historical documentaries, and lots more. In our daily programs, we have Undaunted, ABC Amba News, bringing into the news untold stories with Onyi Okpala and Star Smart. Exclusive discussion, revolutionary panel conversation, infotainment, edutainment, intro governmental debates on topical issues with Tar Paddy King, State of the Liberation Movement, Fronting IG and People of Ambazonia's position, the Struggles Weekly Update with Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASC. Health is wealth, health education, and awareness within the Ambazonian community with Dr. Yaya. Liberation prayer and intercessory ministry for Ambazonia with Pastor Victor Amba. Our freedom, spiritual awareness and education for the Ambazonian community with Pastor Victor Amba and Pastor Commando. Church and politics, neutralizing the myths and preconceived religious and political philosophies that limit the Christian involvement in the realms of decent politics with Pastor Commando. The Horizon, the voice of the Ambazonian woman with Dr. Patience Abiedo and Lady Casey. Our Amber history, bringing to limelight the hidden history of Ambazonia to the world with Pastor Commando. Appointment on community building, education on patriotism within the Ambazonian communities with Ma Rachel Itatima. Ethics for an imagination, watchdog of basic principles and morals of a nation at war with Ma Dorothy Ngwa. Upcoming programs: Pigeon News, Vernacular Talk Show, County Roots, Activists Corner, Amba Focus, only on ABC Amba Television. We the people, the voice of the voiceless. For 24/7 access, subscribe as a club member on www.abcambatv.com/subscribe.
The determination of the people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is still free and is very evident in respect of Monday's ghost town. Indeed, everyone cannot agree on everything, but there is a way to evaluate the spirit of unity amongst the people. Though there are divergent views as to some method in the fight for the liberation of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, the point of convergence has been proven to be Monday's ghost town. The unity in respect of Monday's ghost town is the high point of discontentment with La République du Cameroon's colonial tendencies in Ambazonia. Let's begin here tonight. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, very well, Onyi. Good evening, Ambazonians. The people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia have adopted different habits with the resolve to give Monday's lockdown the necessary respect. One of the engaging activities in Ambazonia on Mondays is sport. Keep Fit has gained steam on Mondays. While Ambazonians give their bodies the desired shape on Mondays, La République colonials are trapped indoors in regret of not being able to loot and extort from Ambazonians.
Today, Monday, August 14th, 2023, is another highly observed ghost town in the entire Ambazonia from Donga Manchung County in the Savannah Zone, cutting across Maysom County in the Midland Zone, to Meme County in the Atlantic Zone of Ambazonia. Counties' reports are clear of the fact that shops and markets are locked, with all commercial and private transportation means grounded, with the spirit of fallen patriots haunting the defaulters.
Well, amongst other activities that occupy the people of Southern Cameroon on Mondays, or as observed by Undaunted today, is indoor and outdoor sports. To keep themselves healthy in sports, many, if not all, have chosen Mondays as the ideal days to carry on with their keep fit activities. While others jog in the open, others go in for group aerobic exercises, and others take on collective sport. Amidst this newly adapted orientation to get Mondays going, the focus of the day, which is to make Ambazonia ungovernable for the colonial La Republic government, is printed in gold on the minds of all.
The Ambazonian Restoration Forces are on high alert on this day to tame strain occupational La Republic du Cameroon soldiers and equally sanctioned defaulters of Monday's ghost town. The Monday's lockdown was born in 2017 with the sole objective to frustrates the La Republic de Cameroon administration and activities in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. It was instituted by the interim government led by Dr. Samuel Ikomisako. The Monday's lockdown makes Ambazonia difficult for La Republic de Cameroon to govern.
Well, the civil disobedience against the La Republic governance demonstrates the aspiration and determination of the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia to be free and to free themselves from the La Republic's government, marginalization, and exploitative tendencies. But let's take a view of how sports inclined Ambazonians are doing today.
The buffer.
Moving on, the desire of the La Republic de Cameroon is to fill their pockets and swell their bank accounts. This has distorted their reasoning ability, or is it just a conscious move to punish the common man? The inhabitants of Bamenda are bitter about the so-called maintenance work on the city roads. Pedestrians are having a tough time walking on these roads because of the mud as a result of the earth used for the surface dressing of the roads. Some are even asking why the so-called representatives of the people, why are they using the earth to rehabilitate roads in the heart of the rainy season with constant downpours? Why do others say it is a good practice at the wrong time? Others describe the act as pure witchcraft.
Well, with the mud from the window dressing, bikes are those on foot are technically exempted from using the so-called city roads. Only vehicles are succeeding tearing their way through the mud. This project of pouring earth on Bamenda City is a joint venture by all the colonial councils in Mezam County. We wonder why such a project, instead of making it better, they make it more difficult for the common man to go about with his daily activities.
Inhabitants of the city of Bamenda have expressed dissatisfaction with the nature of the rehabilitation works in the city roads. Bamenda city roads are covered with mud, making it difficult for pedestrians and those with bikes to go about their activities. There is current rehabilitation work on some city stretches of road within the Bamenda city center. The lone material used on this road is just earth. With the heavy rains, the earth is fast transforming into mud, making movement very difficult.
Well, UNDAUNTED has gathered that this project is being sponsored by the three colonial councils in Mezam County under the coordination of the Colonial Bamenda City Council. The same roads, which are now being covered with mud, were in 2021 destroyed under the supervision of the in-house slave mayor of the Colonial City Council, Paul Achombong. That tarring will soon begin. During the 2021 preparatory phase, houses on roadsides were demolished in the name of widening the roads for better construction. 3 years after, Bamenda city dwellers are asking where the tarred road, the people's houses, were demolished for. Where is it? Even as the population condemns the surface dressing of roads with mud, the works are ongoing.
Well, yesterday, Sunday, the 13th of August, La Republic de Cameroon terrorists stationed at the junction were patrolling on foot towards New Deal when the almighty Bui warriors under the command of Major General Tokandu got intel on their movement and immediately set up an ambush at New Deal. A total of 6 terrorists were vaporized with the help of a locally made improvised explosive device called the Mai. Immediately after the successful ambush by the warriors that inflicted great pain on the people, on the enemy, some of the La Republic de Cameroon terrorists stationed at the junction were called for backup.
Well, the backup team approached the area raining in rocket launchers and heavy machine fire guns indiscriminately. The warriors waited patiently for them and ambushed them again around the Brasseries forest area, killing at least 5 of them. The results from the action in Bui County alone are At least 11 La Republic Cameroon soldiers reported to be dead in.
The Bui warriors are once again calling on La Republic to counter terrorist elements in Bui and Ambazonia as a whole to hand over their weapons to the nearest Ambazonian Restoration Forces base and be given a safe passage to a safe neighboring country. The Bui warriors are also calling on all Ambazonian people, friends and well-wishers, lovers of the ideals of justice, freedom, peace, liberty, and independence to continue to support them so that continue to fight these terrorists until they capitulate and leave the Bui territory.
Moving on, for 2 months, the Ambazonian Restoration Forces have mounted a strategic control point that has restricted free movement to the Bamenda Fondong Road, which is a move to oust the occupation of the Republic forces from Big Babanki. But on Saturday, August 12, 2023, the road was opened and the first vehicle left Bamenda and entered Fondong. This brought happiness to the locals that felt trapped in the village as a result of the decision that was to protect them. Well, unfortunately, after the celebration of the first car from Bamenda into Fondong, 2 landslides occurred and blocked the road a second time. Is this a mere coincidence or a warning sign to the people of this county?
Well, report has it that on Saturday, August 12th, was a day like no other in Fondong, Bui County of the Northwest region of Ambazonia. There was total jubilation after a public transport vehicle successfully made it to the county headquarters from Bamenda after months of control points. For reasons related to security, Ambazonian Restoration Forces blocked the Bamenda Bui Road for 2 months. The town of Fondong was in total joy upon receiving the good news that they had been waiting for in the past month. A Bamenda denizens who hails from Bui confided with our reporters and said in his words, "We are happy that the road is reopened. Our prayer is that it should not be blocked again."
Well, the reopening of Bamenda Bui Road comes after that of Bamenda which suffered a similar fate months ago. At the moment, Bamenda, Bengui, and Nkambi roads remain strategically close. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces movement, who are fighting to establish a state of Ambazonia, closed the road.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people, a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination, proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive. The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people, a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination. Proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive.
You're welcome back. And now on the African scene, the news trending in Africa today. After years of campaigning, the African Union may be closer than ever to getting a seat in the G20. In recent years, the G20 has become the forum where key global governance issues are discussed. G20 countries represent around 85% of global GDP, over 75% of global trade, and about two-thirds of the world population. That the African Union is not a member has been cited as a dent on the G20's credibility. But with Chinese, American, and European backing, there are signs that the 55 nation grouping could become the 21st member as soon as September.
And in Southern Africa, the Johannesburg High Court has sentenced Gerard Akman, a notorious serial offender, to 12 life sentences for his extensive record of sexual crimes against children in South Africa. Presiding Judge Mohammed Ismail ruled that the 12 life terms would run concurrently, underscoring the gravity of Akman's heinous acts.
Well, in East Africa, authorities in Ethiopia are carrying out mass arrests of hundreds, even thousands of people in the capital after deadly unrest in the country's Amhara region, lawyers and witnesses said. Ethiopia's cabinet declared a state of emergency earlier this month in Amhara after local militia fighters known as Fano seized control of several major towns, which the military has since retaken by force. The Fano, who fought military forces in a 2-year conflict in the neighboring Tigray region, have resisted being disbanded after a peace deal last November.
Sudan's Burhan accuses rival RSF of war crimes. Nearly 4 months into the deadly war in Sudan, the head of the military gave a rare televised speech on Monday, August 4th. General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, the rival RSF and Dagalo of committing violations under the falsehood of promising to restore democracy. Now in West Africa, Niger's coup leaders say they will prosecute the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum for high treason, and this is what is trending the most.
Well, it's been almost 3 weeks after Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum was deposed. ECOWAS, who condemned the coup, imposed economic and financial sanctions on the country of over 25 million people. The new military leadership strongly criticized the sanctions imposed by ECOWAS and the West African Economic and Monetary Union. In this video, Colonel Major Amadou Abderrahmane in French says, the transitional authorities of Niger regret the attitude of a certain international community countries, which consist of showing solidarity with a few politicians of the deposed regime, while at the same time lacking empathy for the people of Niger, who have been hard hit by the illegal, inhumane, and humiliating sanctions imposed by ECOWAS, which go so far as to deprive the country of pharmaceutical products, basic foodstuffs, and electricity supplies. This was said by Colonel Major Amadou Abderrahmane to the press. Well, the sanctions have left landlocked Niger with minimal power supply, as Nigeria, whose supply accounts for 70% of Niger's electricity, has cut off power supply.
Following the sanctions, multinational organizations also cut off their links. Niger's population has experienced a vast lack of electricity, with only 4.3 million people having access to energy, as 90% of its population uses wood as a source of energy. Prior to this time, a video went viral on social media with the Minister of Finance under the leadership of Mohamed Bazoum crying profusely because the coupers were questioning him on where government funds have gone into. Well, it's interesting to see how they are now publicly alluded to the fact that Bazoum has committed crimes against humanity, crimes of high treason.
Well, now what does this tell us? Whatever the West African bloc and other nations are saying is falling on deaf ears and of no effect, as there is no indication that the coupists would give up at any point. They've not only despised the ultimatum of reinstating Bazoum, whom according to their laws is a potential criminal, an extreme position we're observing the coupists are taking. And like Barrister Mbese has said on TV, by international law, the person in control is the legitimate leader. So the incumbent legitimate leadership first will be prosecuting the apprehended Bazoum. ECOWAS does not have the mandate to militarily invade the sovereign nation of Niger. That's the second point to look at. And thirdly, ECOWAS does not have any direct economic interest against the coupists, which is why some observers are saying their insistence is only sponsored and piloted by the West, those with great interest in the nation, like France.
Well, we are made to understand that these leaders have the exportation of uranium into France. They've also pledged to stop any treaty economic ties with France. So whatever France was doing as a counter is of no effect because nobody is listening to them. Because France said they are not going to break a treaty they had with a legitimate government with an illegitimate government. But what is happening now is evident that nobody is actually listening to France.
Well, Niger's mutinous soldiers have said they will prosecute the post-president Mohamed Bazoum for high treason and undermining state security in an announcement hours after the junta said they were open to dialogue with West African nations to resolve the mountain regional crisis. If found guilty, Bazoum could face the death penalty, according to Niger's penal code.
Spokesman Colonel Amadou Abderrahmane said on state television on Sunday night that the military regime had gathered the necessary evidence to prosecute before competent national and international authorities they ousted President and his local and foreign accomplices for high treason and for undermining the internal and external security of Niger. The announcement said high-ranking West African politicians and their international mentors have made false allegations and attempted to derail a peaceful solution to the crisis in order to justify a military intervention.
But it said Bazoum was being charged following his exchanges with these people. The statement did not identify specific Western countries and did not specify a date for the trial. But as is our duty, we'll keep you updated on any more developments on this.
All right, let's see trending stories across the world for today. Poland's prime minister plans to hold a referendum asking voters if they are willing to accept thousands of illegal immigrants from the Middle East and Africa as his party attempts to hold on to power at the next election. Mateusz Morawiecki announced the referendum would be held on the same day as the country's parliamentary elections in October of this year.
While on global economy, stocks making the biggest moves midday: AMC, US Steel, PayPal, Tesla, and more. This in-demand freelance job pays up to $250 an hour, offers remote opportunities, and doesn't require a degree. The hottest gig on the freelance job market isn't coding or graphic design as you might expect. It is writing. That's at least according to new research from freelancer.com, which found creative writing to be the most in-demand skill employers are hiring for on its platform. Based on an analysis of nearly 300,000 jobs advertised on the site between April and June.
Well, on the global politics, India is a rising force in Southeast Asia as the region seeks to counter China's dominance. India is taking major strides to expand its influence in Southeast Asia, a move that will allow countries to counter China's dominance in the region. India certainly is becoming more ambitious in Southeast Asia. There is no doubt about that, said Harsh P. Pant, Vice President for Studies and Foreign Policy at Observers Research Foundation, a New Delhi-based think tank.
India's Look East policy began in 1991, well before China's growing assertiveness was a real problem in Southeast Asia, said Derek Grossman, a senior defense analyst at the RAND Corporation. The BRICS summit is now a few days away. We are counting down to days. There's a lot of controversy. Some countries seem to be developing cold feet. Others are not certain of attending, but virtually.
Well, the 15th BRICS summit is to be held in South Africa this month. It's expected to make the global governance system fairer and counterbalance the dominance of Western countries. Carlos Maria Correa, executive director of the South Center, told Xinhua on Wednesday. The event's agenda will be topped by efforts towards de-dollarization, which is reducing the US dollar's hegemony and the expansion of the bloc, said the Correa.
Well, the BRICS group of major emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, will hold its 15th Heads of State and Government Summits in Johannesburg between August 22nd and August 24th. The summit will be the first in-person BRICS gathering since the COVID-19 pandemic. Altogether, the BRICS nation accounts for more than 40% of the world population and about 26% of the global economy. One key issue for the BRICS to consider is global governance. There is a need to change the current system, which is unfair and asymmetric. In particular, the architecture of the financial system needs a major reform. This was said by Korea.
Well, leaders are expected to discuss the group's expansion by adding new members, including the admission criteria and the guiding principles. Amongst my hope is that the current BRICS group considers the incorporation of other countries, Korea said. This will be very important because it will give volume to the BRICS group. Of course, major economies such as those of India, Brazil, and China are there, but if other countries also incorporated, the political dimension of the BRICS will be improved significantly.
So far, over 20 countries have formally applied to become new BRICS members, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Indonesia, Egypt, and Ethiopia. Korea said although the group of seven, the G7, and the group of 20, G20, will still influence a lot the international developments. The groups are dominated by developed countries, it said. But the BRICS play an important role in counterbalancing the G7 and 20 to G20. They look for solutions that are aligned with the interest of the other developing countries, he added.
When asked how China's Belt and Road Initiative has contributed to China-African cooperation, Korea said there are so many projects that have been realized in the context of this initiative. He said it is very difficult to highlight just one. The contribution has been immense. The creation of infrastructure in African countries has been extremely important, such as new ports, electricity plants, and water supply.
Well, this is one of the reasons why South-South cooperation has become so important in the last few years, he said. The South Center, headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, is an intergovernmental organization of developing countries that help developing countries to combine their efforts and expertise to promote their common interest in the international arena.
All right, Paris Saint-Germain is in the news today. What is he up to? Well, let's join Gab Ellison in the sports studio for more detail.
Latest world sports, football. Kepa Arrizabalaga. Real Madrid signed Chelsea goalkeeper on season-long loan. Real Madrid has signed Spain goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea on a season-long loan. The 28-year-old will cover for Madrid's regular number one Thibaut Courtois, who will miss most of the season with an anterior cruciate ligament injury. Kepa has made 163 appearances for Chelsea since joining from Athletic Bilbao for £71 million in August 2018, the highest fee ever paid for a goalkeeper. He faced competition at the Blues from summer signing Robert Sanchez. Fellow Spaniard Sanchez, a £25 million arrival from Brighton, started Sunday's Premier League opener against Liverpool. Chelsea sold Senegal international goalkeeper Edouard Mendy to Saudi Pro League side Al Ahly earlier this summer. Kepa's exit leaves 31-year-old Marcus Bettinelli as the only other senior goalkeeper in their squad, alongside 20-year-old Lucas Bergstrom and 19-year-old Eder Beach. Real Madrid opened their campaign with a 2-0 win at Athletic Bilbao on Saturday, with England midfielder Jude Bellingham, an £88.5 million summer arrival from Borussia Dortmund, among the scorers. Neymar transfer news. Al Hilal agreed deal with Paris Saint-Germain for Brazil forward. Paris Saint-Germain has agreed to a deal to sell Brazil forward Neymar to Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal for about €90 million, £77.6 million, plus add-ons. The transfer is subject to the 31-year-old completing a medical and all necessary paperwork. Neymar, who joined PSG for a world record fee of €222 million in 2017, was left out of the squad for their League One draw against Lorient on Saturday. He was not part of coach Luis Enrique's plans for the new season. His exit also fits PSG's strategy of moving away from the Galacticos era of signing high-profile players for big fees and significant wages, with Lionel Messi also leaving the club earlier this summer. Neymar was understood to be earning in the region of 25 million euros, 21.6 million pounds annually at the French side. He has made 173 appearances for PSG, helping the club win 13 trophies, including 5 League One titles, as well as reaching the 2020 Champions League final. His time in the French capital has also been hampered by a number of ankle injuries. The former Barcelona player had surgery in March that caused him to miss the rest of the season, and he only resumed training in July. He missed 2 of Brazil's matches at the 2022 World Cup after being injured in their opening group match. The forward also missed the 2019 Copa America after suffering torn ligaments, right ankle, and was out for several weeks in 2021 with a similar injury. News of the Neymar deal comes just 24 hours after PSG's Kylian Mbappe was reintegrated back into first-team training after positive talks with the club. The France forward, 24, had been in a contract standoff amid a desire to join Real Madrid but could not extend his contract at PSG. With his current deal due to expire next summer, Mbappe was also left out of the squad for the Lyon game and watched the match from the stands. Last month, PSG gave Al Hilal permission to talk to Mbappe after the Saudi side made a world record £259 million bid. If completed, the transfer will continue a remarkable summer spending spree by Saudi clubs, underlining the league's ambition to be one of the top competitions in the world in the next 5 years. The likes of Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, Jordan Henderson, Ruben Neves, Sadio Mane, and Roberto Firmino have all moved to Saudi Arabia. Portugal superstar Cristiano Ronaldo joined Al Nassr from Manchester United in January. Rugby Union, Rugby World Cup, Romain Ntamack to miss tournament after anterior cruciate ligament injury. France fly half Romain Ntamack has been ruled out of the Rome Rugby World Cup because of a ruptured anterior cruciate ligament. Ntamack, 24, injured his left knee in Le Bleu 30-27 World Cup warm-up win over Scotland. France, who were hosting the World Cup, play New Zealand in the opening game on 8 September at Stade de France. But the Bagels' Matthew Jalibert will likely replace Ntamack as France's starting fly half. Ntamack leaped off the field in the second half against Scotland and underwent a scan on his knee on Monday. The 24-year-old was widely regarded to be one of the stars of this year's World Cup, having scored a match-winning solo try against La Rochelle to help his club side, Toulouse, win the top 14 title. He is France's #1 fly half and featured in every minute of the side's 2022 Six Nations Grand Slam victory. Ntamack also featured for France at the 2019 World Cup, where they reached the quarterfinals before losing to Wales. He posted a message on Monday stating, "I'll be back," following the news. French Sports Minister Amélie Oudéa-Castéra posted on Twitter that the national side would miss Ntamack's flair. "There is no doubt you'll be close by and that this dream belongs to you as well," she wrote. France will also initially be without loose head prop Cyril Vale, who will miss up to 6 weeks with a calf injury. Gab Ellison reporting from the ABC Amba News.
All right, thank you so much, Gab Ellison, for that sports report. And with that report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, let's take a look at the major highlights.
We brought to you Ambazonia poised once again to oust La Republique with the Monday lockdown. We also brought to you the La Republique-sponsored in-house slaves mayor using mud for surface dressing of road in the heart of the rainy season. Bui County situation report with firepower from Bui County from New Deal, Kumbo local government area.
Right, tonight on Undaunted, we told you that joy has returned to Fundong after 2 months. On the African scene, Niger co-leaders said they will prosecute deposed President Mohamed Bazoum for high treason. On the global scene, we looked at BRICS Summit as it is just a few days to go. That was it for tonight on Undaunted, bringing into the news on Untold Stories. On behalf of Michael and Coach Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.
Leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night. God bless you.